Hello everyone, it's JW64 currently speaking, and today I'm just making a little response to some questions I got a couple weeks ago when I asked for questions to do my first ever Q&A video, and I did get enough questions to make a video, so let's just get into them. Who is your biggest inspiration in music? Wow, that is a deep question. I've always liked music that blends experimentation and creativity and some kind of genuine artistic purpose with catchiness and mass appeal, if that makes any sense. So a lot of the electronic music that I like and pop music that I like and other styles usually have the two elements put together. And I think I also really like people that tend to take very simple patterns, say like a 4 chord progression or an 8 chord progression or some kind of rhythmic simple meter thing, and just build layer on top of layer on top of layer, with each layer being very distinctive. Looking at my last FM so I can name some actual artists that I think fall into these categories. A big one would probably have to be deadmau5. I think he's one of the most respectable people currently in the mainstream EDM scene. He does pretty much everything himself, like production, mixing, mastering. He even does like his own visual stuff. I also like people that tend to do a lot themselves and build sort of a world to envelop their music. deadmau5 is just really about doing what he's good at the best that he can, basically sparing no expenses in a way to make this really distinctive style of progressive house music, which I very much enjoy. Another big one would have to be Porter Robinson. I think he is a prime example of combining mass appeal with experimentation, especially on his Worlds album, which is probably one of my favorite albums this decade, even though the critical response on it was lukewarm. And I also really like the way that he has sort of an arc for all of his music, and his videos all form sort of a world. Another big one with that is Mew. I'm not as inspired by them musically because they're not electronic music for the most part. They're sort of a dream pop, prog rock, alt rock fusion. So not as much them, but that's another one where the lead singer does a lot of visuals himself, and they have a world that their music kind of exists in and creates. Other big influences of mine, just to rattle them off as I noticed them from Last FM, are M83, a really great fusion of dream pop and electronic. Aphex Twin, more recently I've been getting into his stuff. I just love the complexity of it, and definitely I want to start taking some of that into consideration with my own stuff. Radiohead, I really like the way they structure chord progressions. Arcasia, I like everything that one could possibly like. Almost everything about Arcasia's music is directly influencing me at this point. Sigur Rós, I guess, kind of. Once again, they're not electronic, so I can't really pull too much directly from them, but I really love just the dreamy, bombastic atmospheres that their music creates. Very uplifting. And then you have other, like, synth pop kind of, not really EDM, but sort of progressive people like Jamie XX and Caribou, and Churches kind of off to the side there. Caro Bonito kind of off to the side there. People like that, I'd say. And of course, Muse and AWOL Nation, who shaped my music taste years ago. Their influence definitely sticks with me to this day, as do a lot of alternative bands from 10 years ago. Oh yeah, Daft Punk, that's another big one. Okay, next question. Why do you like music? Wow, we're really getting into the intense stuff, the deep, complicated stuff that I don't really have a straightforward answer for in this video, aren't we? Right off the bat, too. I think there are kind of two. I did think about this ahead of time, just so you know. There are kind of two big reasons that I like music. One is that it can thrust you into an emotion just through hearing it. The way that music affects my state of being and my emotional state and just colors the world around me in a way I think is absolutely insane, and in a way almost makes life worthwhile. Another thing I like about music is on a little more on the artsy side, the way that the different timbres and chord progressions and combinations of intervals and rhythms can kind of build an atmosphere. This could be any genre. Any genre can have its own atmosphere. But I almost experience like a pseudo synesthesia-esque thing. It's not really that, but it's like when I hear certain music, all the attributes that come along with that sound are illuminated to me in my head. It's really cool. Music is just awesome. I think we can universally agree on that. What do you like, not dogs or cats? Well, I'm not sure if that was a typo, but given the choice between not dogs and cats, I would probably take not dogs because I'm not much of an animal person. But if you meant to ask, do you like dogs or cats better, I'd definitely say cats. Have you played entirely through Doki Doki Literature Club? Who's your favorite character? Yes and no. I've played through the entire main story. I haven't played through the thing where you go to every route and get the good ending because that takes a lot of time and I've already spoiled it for myself, so I don't know. I've already seen the whole story, the game play out though. Favorite character in terms of their purpose within the larger story, or favorite character is in who do I just like the best, who's best girl, whose personality is the coolest. For the latter option, definitely Yuri. I like the shyness factor and the intelligence and the combination of being really smart but also not wanting to put other people down just because of how smart you are, until Monica, of course, comes in and magnifies her negative traits. But that's a whole different story. I mean, they all have pretty great redeeming qualities within the larger story. That's part of what makes Doki Doki Literature Club such a well-written game, because every character has some multifaceted things about them. Like Natsuki has the manga thing and the abusive parent thing. I don't want to spoil too much, but Sayori, obviously, just your heart breaks when you find out about spoiler stuff. Monica, obviously, I think in terms of their place in the larger story, like my favorite character, personality and attraction wise, is Yuri, but in terms of their larger place in the story, I think it would probably have to be Monica, just because of her self-awareness and her whole arc of realizing that she has to let you, other spoilery stuff that I'm not going to get into, just because of her whole multifaceted existence. I think she's probably the most important character in the game. So there's my kind of two answers there. Do you like the music genre of jazz? This is a tough one because I haven't been exposed to that much jazz, much less than I should, because I know jazz has a very rich history and it's a very unique style with lots of complexity, and it's good to know stuff about. I just have not taken the time to delve that far into it on my own time yet. I have been exposed to some just being at music school, and there are recitals a lot, especially ones that we have to go to for convocation credit that feature jazz performances. It's always pretty cool. I don't think it'll ever be my favorite kind of music because, like I said, I like simple patterns that build on top of each other, because I like getting to the utmost raw emotion that could possibly be attained through music, and a lot of the complexities in jazz harmony don't really allow for that, but I definitely need to delve more into it. I can't really say how much I like it yet. I mean, I have enjoyed some of those performances. It's certainly impressive. It's not my favorite thing. I respect it. I respect the huge history and the fact that it influenced almost every kind of music that we have today. And I do like jazz influenced electronic music. I sound like a total normie saying that, but people like Alvik and a lot of the kawaii future bass artists use jazz harmonies in their tracks, so I like that stuff. For sure. Have I ever tried to create my own background art for remixes and stuff? Also, I really like your voice. You mean really like my voice, like my speaking voice? Because at this point, this was before the Church's cover where I sang, and that wasn't even really my voice. That was just my voice being sent through a vocoder. But thanks. I guess I don't really get that. I've never gotten that compliment before, so thank you. On to your question, have you ever tried to create art? For remixes, not really. The most I've done is take some kind of royalty-free public domain photo and slap my logo and all the text I want for the thumbnail on top of it. And I really focus more on that, more on the music production side of things, and the visuals like the video editing and thumbnail editing side of things. I did make the artwork for my original songs, but if they feature photos, then those photos were just public domain, and then I used Photoshop or Paint.net to apply a bunch of effects to them. But no, I've never tried to do the artwork myself. I don't know if I would be any good at that, or if I would even have the time, because producing the music already takes so much time, and it's a lot easier to find some independent artist on DeviantArt that did fan art for the same franchise I'm remixing and just hit them up and say, can I use this? I rely more on that, and I'm actually in the process of commissioning some art for my next album cover. So I do all the like square, rectangle design stuff on top of whatever pre-existing art there is myself, and I use Photoshop or Paint.net to put in all the logos and whatnot, and I create all the visualizations for my music, but not the art. Yeah, so the short answer to that is no. And that's all the questions that I got. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for asking questions. If you asked a question that was featured in this video, don't hesitate to leave more questions in the comments. Maybe I'll make another one of these at some point, and I'll let you know with a reply if I end up making a video out of it. So that's all for the time being. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.